Megan, welcome to the show and good morning. Thanks for joining us. You guys have some interesting information and data you're following on some of these trend shifts to particularly, trying to stay active in this shelter-in-place environment and ways people are trying to do that.
Yeah, this is something that we've been tracking for a while. I think even around the time of New Year's resolutions, especially, we like to look at, how people are exercising, how people are staying healthy, what resolutions they're making. And one thing we noticed is that even before this COVID, this shelter in place, this new normal that we're living in now, we were seeing an uptick in people who were talking about working out at home. So even, into January, those mentions were up about 22% year over year. Now, since then, the mentions have absolutely exploded. You can see that on the chart here, these daily mentions of people who are working out from home on their, whether they're streaming it, whether they're using some type of app to follow along. And what we're seeing is that there was this really large uptick, around mid-March when people were, forced to switch from going to a gym and had to find another means to exercise. So this is that adoption spark that I know Andy's talked about. I think Landon, you guys have discussed with us previously. And so we're watching that, kind of level off. And what we're really going to be keying in on moving forward is what that new trough is, like as things kind of return to normal and as people are able to, begin exercising and have other options, how many are going to stick around and what companies stand to benefit from this new demand to work out at home.
Yeah, Megan, this is such a timely topic to have on today because, frankly, raise your hand if you miss your health club. Raise your hand if you miss your treadmill. Raise your hand if you want a treadmill in your house right now as we speak. Me, I do. And, raise your hand if you're seriously considering buying a treadmill for your home in the future. Still raising my hand, my hand's up the entire time. So this is, and Peloton, though a young company and not massive in size, and in all honesty, they've actually stopped delivering their treadmills. They'll still deliver the bike, but not the treadmill anymore because it takes some, in your house building and things like that. But their treadmill is very high quality. Their bike is very high quality and very popular. And so I think, the future, this is another one of those companies. We talk about them a lot in the last few weeks where the world and the economy seems to be moving towards them, not away from them. You'd be able to turn some room in your home to an exercise room. Those that don't have it already, a lot of people already do, as you mentioned, but those that don't, like me, are wishing they did. I personally belong to 2 health clubs and 0 are open right now, 0. So I've got a problem. And when everything settles down, when the dust settles on this market, Megan, a lot of people are going to be making some decisions about something just like this. And your data shows that.
Yeah, I think that I love that you mentioned Peloton. Peloton is a natural, long-term winner from something like this. We were already seeing year-over-year demand growth for Peloton, right? Year-over-year mentions around New Year's, it was already up over 208% when it comes to people who are using the Peloton app, right? And now we're seeing that absolutely, it's insane. It's up 633% year-over-year of late. I know that Peloton is. Yeah, right. I know that Peloton is using a promotion. I think for 90 days, you can use their app for free, and they have all different kinds of workouts. They have strength training, they have biking, they have running, they have outdoor coached runs, they have meditation and yoga. So they're really trying to grab in and pull in this new captive audience. I think that there are lots of other names that are doing this too. You think about Zoom. A lot of people are doing these group Zoom workouts. I believe the top branded mention when we listen to people who are talking about working from home or working out from home was YouTube. So, people are going to YouTube to seek out these different fitness routines. So there are a lot of different names that are kind of stepping up to meet that demand as people say, okay, I'm going a little stir crazy and I need to stay healthy.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, Megan, because we just talked Google Alphabet in our last segment, and we were thinking that YouTube's got to be the beneficiary in some light for a lot of these trend shifts as people are trying to stay busy, not even just active while they're at home and being more productive in different ways. And I find it almost ironic because it's almost like, everybody always wants to just do nothing and, sit around and watch TV. And then now that they kind of have that as their, forced thing to do, all they want to do is do these other activities and other tasks and stuff. But it is interesting to see all these kind of shifts in terms of where does it go and what does it look like on the other side. But I think it's a brilliant business strategy by something like Peloton to offer their services to as many people as they can with that kind of free offering to, let people try it out. And if they like it, maybe they're going to become members down the road. And it's a great way to get more people in the door. But if you're looking at this, and I know you may not have the exact information, but when you're looking at who poses to be the winners, is it really the Zooms, the YouTubes of the world that seem to be getting the most traffic as a result of all these trend shifts, Megan?
Yeah, I think that the Peloton demand uptick that we're seeing, that's undeniable. That growth is really impressive. But also, the fact that people are turning to YouTube, they're turning to these streaming devices too. Other names we haven't mentioned that are popping up. You see people who are streaming workouts on their Roku. They're in their living room and they're using these streaming devices. We've talked about the Netflixes and the Hulus and all this content. Well, they already have the technology there, and so now they're making a new application. For Zoom specifically, the first time that we ever recorded a workout mention alongside Zoom company was in March of this year. Now, these are really targeted mentions and targeted queries, but I think that's interesting that a company that previously was viewed as, helping you work from home is now an option to help you work out from home. So that shows a potential for growth for that company long term.
Yeah, Kevin, it's interesting to see all the different things. I mean, I've seen people, just doing, little group chats and group, FaceTimes essentially through Zoom and group happy hours. So there's so many, versatile uses for these services that maybe these companies didn't even see that, it's very interesting. But specifically in this workout realm, it's also interesting to see, so many people adopting these just off that data that we've seen, just that we just had up on the screen there from LikeFolio and Megan. To see how much higher, even though it's off the peak than it was to where it was before, you'd think that a lot of these companies and a lot of these people that are looking to do this, there's going to be some type of adoption because we hear all the time, it takes, 15 days or a month or whatever it might be to kind of become, something to be a habit. If more and more people are doing this daily, you'd think more and more people will continue to do this after the fact. But Kevin, any last questions for Megan or anything kind of on this entire remote fitness topic?
No, just I think that as long as these stocks don't panic higher, where they get crazy valuations, these are stocks that very slowly but surely the rest of the world is drifting towards. And oh, by the way, one small detail about Zoom, they're profitable. They make money, right? They don't need, they're not one of those companies that are high flyers that aren't profitable yet. They have profits. So Zoom, I think, is just a great, ability to, I think the world is coming towards them, not away from them. That's another company. We talk about a lot of those on this show. That's why we feature them, because this economy is going towards the Zooms, the Pelotons of the world, as more and more people communicate and find themselves spending more time at home, guys.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And I love the point about the one, that they're profitable, but also this high-flying nature of some of these names. If there is any kind of bubble activity in some of these names, I mean, Zoom's certainly been deflated, at least from its highs, Kevin. I mean, I'm looking at a stock that traded up over 160. That's down to 119 at the current moment. So some of the wind out of the sails, which maybe leads into my question here, Megan, of with this pullback in Zoom, is there opportunity given how much activity you're seeing on Twitter, people talking about using this service?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely opportunity. I think that these are names that we're going to be watching. As Kevin or one of you pointed out, that the mentions that we're seeing now, even though it's off of those highs in March, it's still so much higher than it was even at the beginning of the year. And so if we continue to see that trough after that drop off is still significantly higher, that's an even more promising sign. So I think that it's definitely a building opportunity for people who are trying to spot potential winners. in this environment, and it's something that we're going to keep an eye on for that long-term adoption.